This video is brought to you by StarCharge, the largest EV charging manufacturer in the world. They are also a provider of residential and commercial battery storage with microgrid solutions. You and I have practically driven around the world in Porsche Taycans. We've cannonballed them, we've driven them all through Europe, top speed down the Autobahns here in Germany, but there's a new one. And we've been making some videos with the new Porsche Taycan, but this is the one that matters to me. This is the most important test of any electric car. It's to simulate how well they road trip. I love exploring new places with EVs, finding new infrastructure, but also getting there quickly and efficiently. I don't want to sit around for an hour at a charging station. I don't want to drive 30 miles an hour to stretch it to the next charger. I like to drive fast and charge fast. And there's no better car that I've ever driven that supports my way of driving like a Porsche Taycan. These things are amazing. And with all of the new updates for 2025, we may have found ourselves the king of EV road tripping, at least that we've tested. So this is the 10% challenge of the new refreshed Porsche Taycan. You guys have been waiting for this video. I've been waiting for this video. You joined me in Germany off of the German Autobahn, and we are going to charge from 10% for 15 minutes, drive 80 miles per hour, and compare it against all of the other EVs we've tested in this test. And, well, I have high expectations for this one. I'll walk you through the spec on the car, the testing procedures, and then, of course, we'll go and do the test and see how well this thing road trips. So what you see here slamming to the ground in front of you is the new Porsche Taycan. This is the refresh car for 2025. The pre-refresh sedan version already holds or almost ties for the record in this test. The Lucid did beat it out a little bit, but we really need to run both on the same day because they were so close. What has changed for 2025? Well, I've already done a range test on this car that walks you through a lot of the changes, but the big highlights here are we have a new battery pack that is not only larger capacity. We went from about 83.7, went from about 84 kilowatt hour usable to 97 kilowatt hour usable. So near as makes no difference, a 15 kilowatt hour upgrade in usable capacity, 105 kilowatt hour gross in this particular one. So a massive battery increase. With that, they managed to keep pretty much the same shell of the battery, so it didn't gain in size, and it actually lost weight in the process. Not only did the entire car lose weight, but actually the battery pack lost a significant portion. Pretty cool to see a lot of that being improved. A lot of that weight savings actually comes from a different composite, a carbon composite skid plate under the battery pack, but still, battery pack weighs less with a lot more capacity. That's awesome. Not only does it have more capacity, it charges much better than before. The previous Taycan would get from 0 to 50% in 10 minutes. The new Taycan gets from 0 to 50% in 10 minutes, but it adds significantly more energy in that same time period. And so this vehicle will actually charge at a maximum 327 kilowatts we saw yesterday. Absolutely amazing, but then holds it all the way to about 63% state of charge. At about 64%, it comes under 300 kilowatts. It's incredible. It is one of the fattest charging curves in the business. You can't even call it a charging curve. It's like a charging plateau of just full send nation. It's awesome. So that's the battery pack. There's also a new motor that's more efficient, but keep in mind in the last test we ran a sedan. In this one we're running the Sport Turismo version, and so this is going to be probably less efficient. The shape of the car does have a big impact from an aerodynamic standpoint, and we always find the Taycan sedans are like magically efficient. I just have never really found that in the long roof versions. However, this 4S Sport Turismo is a really middle of the road car. In the US, we won't actually get this configuration. We don't have any Sport Turismos right now. We will get it when the GTS probably comes back again, but this is going to be right down the middle. The sedans will do better. The Cross Turismo, the lifted version of this with the body cladding, the sort of off-roady-ish one, soft road, that one's going to do a little bit worse. So this will be like a nice average for the entire fleet. We're on the 21-inch Aero wheels, and so I recommend these wheels and tires. I really like this combination because you get the look of the 21, but it's narrower than the rest of them, and so you still get pretty good range and efficiency because of the face of the wheel. Again, a very middle-of-the-road wheel and tire package. There are more efficient wheels in the lineup, and there are certainly less efficient wheels in the lineup. So the vehicle just dipped from 11 to 10%, which is kind of why I stopped all the loads on it. I wanted to walk you through all of this. What I'm going to do is walk you through the testing procedures, and then we're going to plug it in, charge it, and do the test. Okay, so the car, enough talking about the car. If you really want to see a full sort of tour of this particular one, watch the range test that I put up yesterday. I walk you through the exact spec and everything like that. Very, very heavy build on a 4S. And after driving this car around the last few days, I see almost no need to get a turbo or turbo S. Yes, I would want one because I'm stupid, but this thing is, the new 4S is like the old turbo. This rips, it's crazy. The testing procedures. What matters to me in an electric car is how well they road trip. And the best way to simulate this is to figure out I would say the lowest comfortable arrival state of charge most people are getting to a charger. We chose 10%. I'm Mr. 2%. I love that. 1%, no problem. However, people like my mom, like 20 or 30%. I think the average arrival state of charge the industry is kind of honing in on is 10%. And then how long do people want to wait to charge? Well, for me, 15 minutes, I'm getting antsy. I like to run in, pee, crank out some emails, and then I want to be back on the road as soon as possible. I don't want to sit there 45 minutes to an hour. Some people with families, they may want to charge more. Some people, maybe if I'm just like by myself, absolutely shredding, I'm charging just enough until it tapers and then I can make it to the next charger. So we chose 15 minutes. How far can you go arriving at 10%, charging for 15 minutes, and then at a reasonable speed? We chose 80 miles an hour. We do, you guys know, most of our efficiency testing, our range testing at 70. We had a lot of complaints about that. I can't change it now because we've benchmarked all the cars at 70, and I think that's a good number that I can replicate those range tests really anywhere in the world, because 70 is a pretty common one. 80 is sometimes hard to do in certain areas. But here, like the German Autobahn with no speed limit, and of course where we live just on the border of Wyoming, 80 is very common to drive. And so we are going to be plugging in the Porsche Taycan, which is totally preconditioned for the battery pack and actually just slightly warm, which is why I don't mind letting it sit for a minute because I sent it up here. It was cooling itself down on the way to the charger. We have the tire pressure set to manufacturer rating. Again, 245 fronts, 285 rears, narrower than the other options. Power charge port is as standard on new Taycan, which does not help with aero. However, the Turbo GT does get the manual charge port to help with some brake cooling effects, but almost all of the Taycans you'll see now will have power charge port for the new generation. And so yeah, let's plug it in. We'll count the handshake time. We will basically charge it from 10% up 15 minutes. How far will it go? I don't know. I think it's going to be a monster charging session. Okay, I've pre-authorized the charger. A lot of work has been done between the Taycan and Ionity. Porsche claims to reduce handshake times. Could be interesting to find out. So I've got the CCS connection. I'm going to need to get it into the port. Two hands. There we go. We're connecting. So we're going to count this until this goes green, and that will be our connection time. Wow, contactors have already clicked on the charger. It's probably doing a pre-charge. Okay, still see, it's way slower than Tesla. Tesla's 6 seconds every time. But our e-tron is like a minute, something like that. So this is certainly, hopefully not going to be a minute. I think Porsche said somewhere in the 25, 26 second region. I did a whole podcast on all the improvements for this car. Contactors have clicked on the car and we are charging. So, okay, not blazing fast, but acceptable. Now we should be at 10%. There we are. Ramping. We're going to charge for exactly 15 minutes. So once that ticks over to 15, we're going to stop. And the Taycan requests 400 amps from the charger. So let's see it ramp its way up there. 380, 390. 415 there for a second. 400. Nice. Now, as we always do with our testing procedures, because we're simulating a road trip, we want the climate control running in the vehicle. And so what I'm going to do is actually turn the Taycan on. And wow, we're already at 12%. We are going to go auto, not at 82, but at 70 degrees. Boom. One cool thing about the Taycan, it'll tell you battery temperatures, which we have a pretty good starting temperature, and it gives you this window. And whenever you're in this window, your battery temperature, you will be able to charge at 150 kilowatts. And this window changes based off of state of charge. So since we're at relatively low state of charge, it has a big window where it can accept big power. And if we were at higher state of charge, it would be a smaller window and it would warm itself up for a charging station. So again, simulating road trip environments. What I have here for climate control is like we ran yesterday, driver only mode, which is similar to how we would normally do this test. So we're charging at over 300 kilowatts still. Let's see how the charger is doing. 400 amps sitting straight through. 2 minutes in, we're already at 16%. This is what I love about this car, monster charging. So we have 15 minutes, which means this thing might get close to full in 15 minutes. And I really can't wait to see how well it does in this test. I think it could be truly a winner. We're going to find out. So as we always say, it can't, on a road trip at least, you know, we always look at charging curves, obsess over charging, but what matters is how much time you're spending at the charger and how far you can go afterwards. And so this test is a combination of highway efficiency and really fast charging or slow charging in the case of BZ4X, which I think only did 42 miles in this test. And so we have the full spectrum of all the cars, still ripping 305 kilowatts, ramping its way up as it makes its way to 320 kilowatts at that 400 amp request. And as it gets up close to 800 volts, as the pack voltage comes up, it'll just keep ripping and ripping and ripping. I love this car's charging curve because unlike Tesla, unlike Lucid, you don't get a big peak down low and then falls off. It just kind of sits and just keeps sitting at full power. It's unbelievable. So you'll be able to join me and see me with that in this video now. What's pretty cool is in the display here as well for charging. Right now you won't be able to notice it because the charger is giving the vehicle everything it wants. But if it isn't, it will actually show you that it's being limited by the charging station. It'll show you how much power you are getting by the green bar, and then there'll be a dark gray bar to fill in the rest to show the vehicle request, saying here's what I want and here's what I'm getting from the charger. Sort of eliminating all of those car versus charging problems that we talk about so often. We're not sure if problems are caused by vehicles or infrastructure. The Taycan takes all the guesswork out of the game. Absolutely love that. And a lot of the friends, actually some folks who have been on this channel from Porsche, are responsible for those little improvements in the car, little changes for the 25 model year. Now, in theory, that should be something they can add via software to the previous cars. Will they? I don't know. Porsche is not always great with over-the-air improvements and stuff like that. That is a downside. All right, 4 minutes. We've already put in 21 kilowatt hours. Is that more than the BZ4X did in 15? I don't know, but it can't be far off. Ripping 312 kilowatts still. 5 minutes, we're at 31%. Now, the most amount of energy we've ever delivered in this test, I think, was 54 kilowatt hours, and that was its previous car. This was already one of the best vehicles in the pre-refresh. And so here, I think we're gonna be in the, I don't even know. It's gotta be higher than 54 kilowatt hours though. We're getting close to seeing our peak charging at the moment. Climate control is still running in the vehicle. I'm curious to see how that affects thermals while charging. 320 kilowatts right there, kind of pulses up and down a little bit to compensate for the compressor. 319, wow, still 5 minutes in and we're at 35%. Wow, crazy. So, all right, I'm gonna basically chill on these updates. If you wanna know all about how this car charges, I already have a full video documenting the charging performance of the sedan. I tested a prototype and I'll probably double check the results a couple more times with this one. An excuse to go driving, may as well. Just sitting flat out right there. Hell yeah, brother. We love to see it. So sick. In just 8 minutes, we have already reached 50% state of charge, still holding well over 300 kilowatts at the moment. Absolutely sending the juice in. This car is really optimized for like a 10% starting charge. Sometimes if you start at 0, the pack will just get slightly warm. You can see it's at 128 degrees Fahrenheit right now. At 135, which is 55 degrees Celsius, that's when it limits. So we're coming out of the perfect window there. And of course, running climate control is not helping because it has to take some of the battery cooling and distribute it into the cabin. But that's okay. No major problems there. We're still only 10 minutes in, crazy, and we're at 60% state of charge. 11 minutes, 60% state of charge, boom. Still 300 kilowatts at 60%. Can you guys believe that? Boom, there's the taper right down to 200. That's the next leg. It'll sit at 200 for a little while. 61% right there at tapered. I've seen it as high as 63, but we're in the range, and that's as soon as we hit 130 degrees on the battery pack. that could be the first level taper. But yeah, the Charger's giving it everything it wants according to the vehicle. So this is all the vehicle request. And we came in at a pretty reasonable starting state of charge and temperatures, excuse me, a starting temperature. Maybe just a couple degrees warm, maybe, yeah, but we wouldn't have held full power for that much longer. So in just 11 minutes, we've already delivered more energy than the previous car did in 15 minutes. Amazing, real, and that was already class leading. And so yeah, I don't even know like who Porsche could benchmark. Maybe that cool Li Auto crazy thing that does 500 kilowatts. Man, I mean, this car is really becoming in a class of its own with this charging performance. Well, we are about 30 seconds away from the car completing. We're at 213 kilowatts at 71%. My feeling is like 200 kilowatts is when the Taycan can just not overheat anymore. It just kind of sits there. And it's just amazing. That's like when the cooling systems can completely keep up, and then anything above that, it uses a little bit of that headroom before it goes to 200 kilowatts. But this is normal. This is like a typical charging curve. I'm really pleased we got a good one on this thing because it's still doing 213 kilowatts at 72%. 15 minutes, stop the charging. 67.6 kilowatt hours delivered. Whoa, crazy. New record by not just a little bit, by a lot. Oh my God, that is some insane charging performance. Okay, so we're done here. Let's shut off the loads in the car while we prepare everything. Battery pack 132 right now. Still blowing cold air from the climate control. Let's go off on this one. So I want to hit the road as soon as possible. And yeah, you can see it says max 230 kilowatt charging if we plugged in right now. I'd say that's pretty close to what we were getting. What we need to do is come over here to trips. And we're going to go reset Sense. Boom. There's also Sense charging, but we are going to go to Sense. All right, we're going to go range mode because that's how most people probably would road trip. We're going to go auto on 70 degrees. We're going to go headlights on, and we're going to go. So let's go rip 80 miles an hour down the Autobahn, 128. I have to look kilometers, make sure it's all GPS verified. And damn, I can't believe we got to 72% state of charge in 15 minutes. That's crazy. And keep in mind, this is a big battery. This is almost 100 kilowatt hours usable. That's insane. This car is pretty fresh, perfect, 4,300 kilometers, close to 3,000 miles. That's exactly what we want for testing. So gentle accelerations as we make our way up to speed. Let's go run 80 miles an hour. And yeah, so we'll set the speed at 128, I think. I'll double check. 129 maybe is what we'll do, because it is like 128 point something. And there we go, 80 miles an hour. We'll just drive about halfway up this way and then come back the other. Should be pretty damn good. You guys join me on de-restricted Autobahn. Not ripping, just cruising at exactly 80 miles per hour GPS speed. This is what we're going to settle ourselves into for the duration of the drive. We have the suspension all the way down in range mode. I think everything is looking good here. The car is very comfortable to drive, and battery pack temperatures are coming down accordingly. Let's cruise. I'll update you guys throughout the drive, but there's really not much more to say in this one than the range test. The car is quiet, it's comfortable, it has improved driver assistance. It's kind of, you know, pretty damn nicely upgraded compared to the previous car. Not to say these things are cheap, and it's important to keep in mind used Taycans are an incredible value right now, but if you want the best road tripping capability, wow, I don't think you can find a car, at least in the US market or European market, the Chinese stuff is crazy, that can beat that charging performance. That is really next level. I mean, totally mind-blowing. So I've just calculated we want to try to turn around somewhere around 41% state of charge, 42, 41%, and that should get us as close to the charger on a loop style as possible when we dip back from 11 to 10%, and that will be the goal here. So we'll do the same route as the range test. It was perfect. There was almost no construction, and it was just wide open roads. And as soon as this thing dips from 11 down to 10, that's when we log the distance. Of course, when we make the loop, I'm going to put the charger in the navigation so that it preconditions to the charger, because that's what you would be doing on a road trip. So it really is as close to a road trip simulation as we can. One thing I forgot to mention were the temperatures out here. It's currently 60 degrees, a little bit colder than I would like, but still should be okay. Well, I feel like we've been driving forever. How long have we been driving for? Let's find out. 54 minutes, okay. So we've been cruising for about an hour. We're still not ready to turn around. We have another, I don't know, few miles to go, a few percent to go. But yeah, just wanted to keep an eye on road conditions, let you know how things are going the first hour or so, which is we have not come off 129 kilometers per hour. No construction, no issues. A Macan EV absolutely flew past me. I was going to get a video clip. I saw the headlights way in the distance, and it just looked way faster than 160 miles an hour. I mean, within seconds, that thing was out of view. And keep in mind, we're doing 80 miles an hour. And it was just awesome to see that thing full send. I don't know what the heck the Porsche guys were testing or whatever, but maybe there's a spicier version of Macan that can do like 200 miles an hour. I don't know. It was really fast. So that was really cool. Excited to do all of this testing with Macan EV very soon, of course. Anyway, yep, we're going to turn around at right around probably 40% state of charge, something like that, and head the other way. We are now at 42%, which is about time to think about turning around, but I just looked, and this is the turnaround point is like way the heck away. So we are on a pretty long stretch of road, but that's okay. I mean, all the elevation out here is pretty similar. There's no wind, but and we'll make it back to the charger. So just a couple percent delta, but it should not affect results. So we'll just turn around in a little bit, and we'll go again a little bit farther than we had to go, but all good. I think this is pretty damn accurate test. This car's a freaking beast. We are now exiting halfway through. We are at 40% state of charge. Honestly, the first time really coming off of high speed. That's freaking awesome. Really awesome route here that we have. This is great. Just, you know, basically heading from Stuttgart to Frankfurt in the middle of the night. There is just no one. It is great. So now I need to make sure I don't miss the direction. So it wants us to go left, and we need to go to this town. So we need to go west. We'll loop around, get back up to 80 miles an hour, and that'll be that. And yeah, so 40% turnaround point. That's pretty much bang on perfect. That's how I would want it. Could not have planned it any better. It's just so great. Here we are merging back onto the highway. Let's get it up to 80 miles an hour. I'll let the car do that. I'll just resume cruise control. Boom, rock and roll. And up to speed we go. Look at all the freaking parking lights in that garage. That shows how many available spaces there are. Whoa, crazy. That's airport parking. That was wild. So there we are, 40%, heading the other way. Let's just look at the stats halfway. 140 kilometers one way, 2.5 miles per kilowatt hour. Efficiency in the Sport Turismo, not as well as I would have hoped. Not as well as I would have hoped. The sedan is certainly much more efficient. And as the speed goes up, the aero makes even a bigger impact. So 80 isn't slow. I would have liked to see better efficiency out of this car. I think we all felt the same way on the range test too. Maybe just you got to go for the 19-inch aero wheels to get max efficiency. Maybe that's the only way. We are getting close to the end of the test. We are at 11% state of charge, and it is in first place. We have already passed the other cars we've tested. And of course, keep in mind, this is a middle of the road efficiency Taycan. The sedan is going to be significantly more efficient. Now, the other Taycan we ran in this test had the 21-inch wheels, the non-aero one, so that wasn't even like the best situation. So as soon as I can get a Taycan on like full aero spec, like the one that we did the Hypermile test with, that is going to be the one to beat. That's going to be crazy. But we've already done more than 10 miles more than the Lucid Air, which did 144 miles. The last Taycan sedan did 140 miles. We're at 156. So this is probably going to come in somewhere just shy of 160, like another leap in the test. Wow, really good here. Again, the efficiency, I just looked at the sedan test. That did 2.6 miles per kilowatt hour. Still not amazing, but the new sedan on aeros would be a lot more efficient. Even the new sedan on the same wheels would be. So anyway, yeah, the Lucid certainly, I think, was much more efficient. That is that car's magic piece, is the efficiency of the Air. but we are pretty close to the ending. We're only about 10 miles away, and we're at pretty much the same elevation from where we started. So we probably went 1 or 2 exits too far, actually. I guess we did have to gain some elevation on the way back, which is why it was looking so promising on the way out. But hey, that's okay. It's all good. It's pretty close to where we are right now. So just waiting for it to dip to 10%, and we will log the distance. There we go, 10%, 158 miles in the new Taycan. Whoa, and this is the Sport Turismo one. So the best road tripping EV we have ever tested. That's pretty impressive, and it's not even the most efficient version of this car. Well, just shows you how crazy that charging performance is, and it can make up for a lot. And you can see our average speed is right up there at nearly 80 miles an hour. I mean, we were right on the nose, so that was a seriously good highway test with really no interruptions whatsoever. Okay, with all that said, let's head back to the charger and we'll finish up with the final thoughts. We are almost back to the charger, and you can see even down here in single-digit percent ranges, Taycan has zero issue cruising at 100 miles an hour. I mean, it's just amazing what this thing can do. And this is a speed limit, but only for certain times of the day. And since it's 3:45 in the morning, this is a de-restricted road, as according to that very nice symbol right there on the dashboard. So anyway, let's go blast back to the charger. We'll arrive at, it says 2%. Yeah, seems good. Pulling in now, and that must have been the Macan that ripped by me at full speed. I gotta talk to that guy. And boom, there we go, charging up. And actually, we started just on the other side of the highway over there. We're on the other side here. So final thoughts now that we're charging. All is good. So just had a nice chat with the dude leaving in the Macan. Oh, he's gone like he was earlier. He just pulled away. Anyway, we're in 4 minutes already up to 22%. So here are my thoughts on road tripping the new Taycan. Well, first of all, the charging performance is crazy. Absolutely crazy. I bet the sedan would do another 15 or 20 miles more than this. That's just my guess, which would be, again, crazy. We're approaching 200 miles. Right? If that one could do about 180, this did 160, just under 160 miles, 158, 150, something like that. We're approaching like combustion car times. I actually beat Google Maps by over an hour on a 4-hour trip in this thing, sending it higher speed. So I think that's, it goes without saying, this is not the most efficient version of the car, and it has smoked everything. Very cool. Definitely want to test some Chinese cars, but at least on all the cars we've tested, this is the best road tripper. At least in our market in America, this is the best road tripper. Now that means you need a charging source that can deliver all the power. And so for practical reasons, still Tesla or vehicles with native NACs might actually be faster in the real world, but at least the cars, which is what we're benchmarking here, we do road trips and challenges, 1,000-kilometer, 1,000-mile challenges, race to Vegases that push the infrastructure with the car. But just to isolate the car, this is top. This is the best right now. Now, Lucid, my understanding, is going through a little bit of a refresh as well with some Grand Touring models that could come right up to this level. So we'll try and get those in as soon as possible. So if anyone at Lucid's watching, I really want to test your cars and show what those things can do. So send us some to Colorado, please. But holy smokes. Taycan freaking just wiped the floor out of everyone. Crazy. It's not cheap, but if you want the best, you're kind of approaching this right here. We really need to do Lucid Taycan Model S again. We've already done the race to Vegas and back, but we need to do it again with like perfect charging infrastructure. I'd love to see what this new car can do and all the cars can do when you really get some infrastructure that can maximize their capabilities. Anyway, thanks so much for watching this Out of Spec Reviews video. If you're looking for the best road tripping EV on sale, particularly if you're in Europe with great charging infrastructure, I say that as I'm standing in front of 2 broken Ionity stations, 1, 2, not working. Maybe not the best. I don't know. I feel like that's an isolated case here. Normally these things are ripping. But if you're okay dealing with public charging infrastructure, and if you have good infrastructure where you live, Norway, mainland Europe, stuff like that, that's your car. Don't even look at anything else. That does it all. It's amazing. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on another one again soon. Bye-bye. In the time it took to shoot that outro, we are already up to basically 38%. Wow. See you guys.